You're listening to the Overcast, your joke-making, fun-having pop culture podcast, brought to you by Oversoul Gaming. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Overcast, your joke-making, fun-having pop culture podcast. My name is Justin.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Brooksy.
And together, we're bringing you sunshine on a cloudy day. And, I slipped back into my old intro for a minute there and then confused myself. So
I was like,
had to save it.
What are you doing?
I had to save it. Oh, old habits die hard. Anyways, though, speaking of which, before we get started here, a little bit of housekeeping. So starting with this episode, we're going to experiment a bit, and we're going to switch things around. And moving forward, the life updates and our general small talk section, I think, is what is a fair name for it. That is going to stay in the beginning. But then, in the middle, we're going to do the topic from now on, moving forward. And then we're gonna end up with the media corner at the end of the show. And there are a few different reasons for this. The first reason is the life updates and media corner are more like spotlight moments for each of us individually, where one person has the floor and the others kind of listen and interject sometimes when there's an opening, but more or less just kind of appreciate what's being said and nod along. But then the topic is more of an open discussion moment where we're all bouncing off each other and stuff like that. So I think it keeps the show more balanced that way. The other thing is, the titles of the episodes are usually advertised as the topic of the episode, but then if you have to wait until the very end of it to get to that part, then it's kind of false advertising, isn't it? So to remedy that, the last episode I named after a combination of our media corner and topic, and I think getting to the topic sooner will make it feel like that's actually the focus of the episode, since it's right there in the middle, the core of the episode. And then when we get to the media corner at the end, will feel more like an add-on to the show, you know, an extra, a bonus feature, if you will. That you can choose to stick around for if you want. That way, people who only care about the topic being discussed can be here for that and avoid the rest of it if you want to. But, you know, if you like hearing our reviews and stuff, they'll still be here, and you'll be rewarded with those if you stick around until the end. And the last way that this benefits is that Nick has a tighter schedule than the rest of us on the show, so that way if he has to bounce early, this gives us more leeway at the end of the show for that, and he doesn't miss out on the topic. And he can always get his media corner out of the way first, and then skedaddle if he needs to.
Yeah.
It basically leaves him a trap door to exit stage left. You know what I mean? So, yes. So, that is basically the housekeeping. We're going to do that moving forward, and to the regular listeners, let us know how you feel about this little switcheroo and whether you like it or not. And if we get too much pushback, then we'll switch it back to how it was, but we'll be doing it this way for the foreseeable future, because I think, anyways, that it'll work better. So, it just, I don't know, it feels right. It feels right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, small talk section. Brooksy, you go first this time. I feel like you haven't gone first in a while.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Really, I guess major life updates. Nothing extremely crazy since the last time we were together, outside of finally took on the major task that not only myself but everybody in our house has been dreading, which is taking care of the garage. It's been just a hodgepodge of boxes and random crap. Since we really moved in here, I did take like a couple days right at the end of last year to kind of restructure and reorganize some things. But I know, one of my roommates is a machinist. We have a lathe that's in our garage that he would like to be able to use for his metal work. And equally, another roommate of ours is a artist and does a lot of ceramics and paintings. Wanted to be able to set up part of the garage as an art studio. So we spent, I want to say, like 6 hours today, throwing away crap and reorganizing everything and actually moving boxes that needed to be moved into the house, actually into the house to start unpacking. And I felt I felt a small amount of shame today because my office area is littered with like a dozen full size boxes right now that are just filled to the brim with Funko Pops and collectibles and yeah, vinyl records, and I'm like, oh, I have a problem. Oh,
I see no problem, and you should feel no shame.
thank you.
There is no shame in collecting. First of all, no shame in collecting nerdy memorabilia, but also no shame in collecting vinyl records either. You know, a lot of those, some of those are probably out of print, probably worth some money.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are. I mean, even like I came across like my collector's edition of The Last of Us Part Two, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this statue's worth a few $100s these days.
Yeah.
Um, what's crazy? What's crazy is, and I got to talk with Justin about this earlier, but I actually to add to my collection of collection items. I am someone that does enjoy tabletop gaming, and I am also someone that enjoys a restaurant that has the meats. And they did a collab with a dice making company to make some roast beef styled D20 dice. And I was fortunate enough to actually get a set of them because they sold out almost immediately. And they came in the. I know. I'm
No,
so
now
sorry.
that you should be ashamed of.
No, I won't. Absolutely not. The only complaint I have is I wish there was one die that was cheddar sauce related. Um, but I bought them and they were for retail MSRP. They were $40, and I was like, I'm curious how much these have gone up since then. And I looked online, and they're like $2 to $2.50 for a set of roast beef themed dice. But
Jesus Christ.
hey, listen, I
Waste
don't
of
have to
money.
spend $200. I don't have to spend $200. I spent $40 and $5 on shipping. I'm happy
Still
as
a
a
waste
clam.
of money.
No, it was not. I needed a new set of dice. I haven't bought a new set of dice in like a year. Okay, like I don't. I'm not like one of my other roommates who is also our DM who has I'm not even kidding.
The dice is fine and all, but
It's the
RPs?
roast beef. Yes, yes, man. I'm sorry. It's guilty pleasure. Leave me be. Uh,
Like what you like. That's what, as
I
they say
do.
on Dead Meat, like what you like.
This is an unofficial shout out. Mozzarella sticks, best in the game for fast food. Uh, but otherwise,
Agreed.
really the big life update that I have is next weekend I am actually going to be flying out of town. I'm going to be going back to my home state of Texas for about a week and a half. Take care of a handful of family things. One of which is that my little brother is getting married. Very excited for him. Very thrilled for him. And so I'll be in Texas for 10 days, 11 days, somewhere around there. But that's yeah, those are the major things that are kind of going on with me right now.
Nice.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned we're recording this episode like a week earlier than normal due to some schedule conflicts over the next few weeks after that. All of us have stuff going on the weekend of the 19th. So,
Yeah, I was trying to be
uh,
a little vague because I wasn't quite sure.
no, we do. We all have stuff going on the weekend of the 19th.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we
um,
do.
but that also means probably more detailed life updates in the following episode.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to talk about my stories in the land of Yeehaw. I have not gone back since recent political changes, and I live in
Yeah.
Southern California, so going to Texas should be fun.
Even though we're recording earlier, though, this episode still won't be coming out until its scheduled time. So, if anything we talk about here seems a little 2 weeks out of date, that's because it is. you know.
Oh man.
Alrighty. Nick, you're up.
So, some good news first. So, Sarah and I went to look at some more houses today. The first house we looked at, it was really you as soon as you walk in the door, it's complete open space. I don't feel like I'm cramped walking through the front door. It's nice. There were some caveats, but the second place that we looked at, we actually are putting an offer in for. It is a
Okay.
It's a townhome, which means we would have a homeowners association, which is an
Ooh.
extra $15 a month. Which isn't horrible, all things considered. Um, but that also means because it's a townhome, we won't have to worry about mowing the lawn or snow removal.
Oh, awesome.
That's done for us.
Man, just be
The
very, very careful with the those associate. I've heard some horror stories.
I have
I
two.
I've experienced some horror stories.
Fair.
The house looks great, by the way. I'm looking at it
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
dude, it's oh my god. So there's a little spot down in there's the so one thing that the that house, the owners are so motivated to sell, they are willing to leave furniture behind. So it comes with the coffee table, the TV stand, the couch, the love seat.
Oh,
I
awesome.
think the dresser up in the master bedroom that has the mirror attached to it, and then the bed frame in the master bedroom, and all the appliances come with it as well. And here's what really sold me: the washer and dryer. That also comes with the townhome, but it's in the upstairs bathroom right next to the master bedroom.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't have to haul a basket of laundry down to the basement to do laundry. It's right there. It's oh man, there's a spot down in the basement that that I think I'm going to set up for my recording area.
Oh, is it? It's a furnished basement, huh?
It will. So the stuff that's all the stuff that's in the basement that you see in those pictures, that's all going with the owners when they move.
Okay.
The only things that are included with the home when we move when hypothetically say when we get this, um trying to be positive, is the couch, the love seat, the TV stand, the coffee table, the dresser with a mirror attached in the master bedroom, and the California king size bed frame. So we're gonna be getting a new mattress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the owners are extremely motivated to sell because they've got a I think they said they can't move forward on the sale that they because they're looking they've put in an offer on a house because they're really extremely motivated, so they're entertaining any offers.
Yeah. I gotta get those
So
mortgage payments in before the stock market crashes. Anyways.
exactly. But yeah, no, it's like, man, I'm telling you, this it'll be nice to be in essentially a house.
Yeah.
It's got 3 floors, basement, uh center floor, and then it's got the upstairs. It's 235,000, but I think we put in an offer for 220.
Awesome.
Yeah. Give us a little wiggle room.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I hope you get.
Um
I hope you get the place.
Me too, cuz I the I took 2 steps into the inside. I was in the dining room when I said, I don't even need to see the rest of this place. Can we just put in an offer? I was like, I'm going to look at the rest of the place, but I it was, oh my gosh. As soon as you walk in, like, wait, I could get a giant Christmas tree for Christmas, but I don't know if I would want to
He said a real
put
one
it up.
with pine needles and ticks.
No, like a taller, like, fake tree, but I don't know if I'd want to put it up and take it down every year, you know?
Yeah.
Um but no, aside from that, um we we went to dinner before coming home to a restaurant called Fireside Grill, a little joint out in Altoona. Uh Sarah has been to this place many, 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 many times and has never had an experience like this.
Oh.
The restaurant wasn't even that busy, and it took 20 plus minutes just to get our appetizer.
Yeah.
When we finally did get our food, my my order came back to me wrong. I asked for my cheeseburger wrap without onions. I could see the onions in the thing. So I took it to my server. I said, "Sir, I asked for no onions." He said, "I am so sorry." And I said, "I would like that next one to go, please." Um Sarah's mom didn't even get her food.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yikes.
And Sarah's pizza burger was so done it was burnt on the outside.
Hmm.
My daughter's meal, she got the spaghetti, but there was one issue with the breadstick. Half of it was hard as a rock.
Jeez.
Yikes.
We did not pay for any of that. I got my burger wrap to go. I did eat a little bit of it on the way home. It's pretty tasty.
Well, there
As-
is a silver lining in this story.
Right.
Yes,
There was
you
a.
know, it's
He was like, you know, once I was satisfied, everything was okay again. Everyone else had a
Yeah.
terrible
I
time,
mean,
but you know,
see,
Turmoil and pain. But my wrap
yeah,
was pretty tasty the second time.
yeah.
I didn't even touch the first one.
What did the
I
onions
I
ever do to
looked
you?
I looked at it and I could see the onions. I said, "Sir,
What did the onions do to you?
I don't like onions."
Ah, man. Man,
I mean,
missing out.
fair.
I mean, I'll do onion rings, but
Just raw onion? Nah.
onions, raw onion, no.
Ah, dude, extra
No, I
onion.
can't.
I
I can't.
can I can take it or leave it, but I prefer without it.
Ah, nah,
I,
extra
I,
onions.
I had been contemplating taking Willow to go see the Minecraft movie. But after all of the hubbub I've been seeing on TikTok,
You don't want to get chicken jockeyed?
no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to go to the movie theater and have them shut the movie down midway through the movie because people are fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
no,
it's
that looks
if it's
wild.
I feel bad for the movie theater staffs that have
Yeah.
to put up with that shit and they have to clean up after them.
Yeah.
Like,
If it's
all for fucking views and clicks.
Yeah. If it's any kind of
It's
consolation for you, my roommate took his kids to go see it last weekend, and like there was like some like chuckling and like 4 or 5 people in the crowd that like just said out loud but not yelling chicken jockey, and then that was it. So I'm hoping when you do go, because he said it was a lot of fun. It was dumb and campy, but it was fun.
Oh, I have no
Um,
intentions on going to see it in theaters. I am going to. Because of the chicken jockey trend. I very firmly believe that will be the reason it gets pushed to streaming sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I can't believe that the Minecraft kids actually made the Five Nights at Freddy kids look way better. Because
Right.
dude, walking through the theaters when that movie came out and just hearing "orf orf 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 orf" repeatedly made me want to just lobotomize myself, just freelance in the parking lot, and then go and see my movie.
I'm just surprised that the movie's getting positive reception from anyone besides those kids because the trailer looked terrible. So
I fully intend on buying it when it comes out because Willow loves Minecraft, and I want her to see this movie.
Yeah.
And if it's a because that, and I'm kind of curious too. I want to see it. I'm curious.
just
I'm not
because
going to
Jack
spend
Black
money.
is in
I'm
it.
not going to that and
Yeah.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I do like
I'm
Momoa.
That's what has me sold. In all honesty, if Jack Black weren't in it, I probably wouldn't touch it.
I'm morbidly
Um,
curious now. I can admit that much.
Yeah, no, I have no intentions on seeing it in theaters, but I fully intend on buying it.
Okay.
What you got for us, Justin?
Well, a couple things. First, also a fun restaurant story, but from a worker's perspective.
Oh, okay.
So, we had a situation. We have a new shake machine, and for some reason, it doesn't handle the mint shake very well. The others, perfectly fine. Come out, the right consistency, all that. The mint one, though, it's going to be 50-50 on whether it comes out right or watery. And, like, we don't know what the problem is. We've been trying to figure it out. Somebody orders the mint shake, and when they see how it comes out, they go berserk because they can see it from the other side of the counter, and they're like, "That's really watery. That's not how it's supposed to be." He starts yelling at people, calling them names. They try to calmly explain it to her. She's not having it, and she's calling them dum-dums and stuff. So it gets into a heated confrontation with one of the managers. This lady pulls out her phone and starts recording. So one of the managers pulls out their phone and starts recording back.
Oh man!
And so they just start doing this. I swear to God, I'm like, we're supposed to be the house of beef. But sometimes it feels like we're the house of waffles.
Oh,
and,
House.
and so it got into this whole confrontation. They're all screaming and yelling at each other, and the one manager's younger sister, who's also manager, comes up and this says something to the lady, and the lady calls her a pothead, which for some reason just triggers her, and she tries to grab the phone out of the lady's hand, but it looks like she swung on her. And she was
No.
and she was like, she was like, "Oh, y'all are gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay for that," and
Oh
it
my
was
god.
another one of those situations where the cop showed up and all that. But anyways, long story short, though, this lady now has a no trespass on her because it's not the first time that she showed up and caused problems with the employees.
Listen,
So now if she ever shows up again, the cops will make her leave, basically.
I mean, how dare y'all? How dare y'all call her a pothead? She is a very distinguished meth head. Okay, that is not nice.
No. This lady called the manager a pothead, and
Oh, well, I apologize to your manager.
that's why, that's why that particular manager kind of like tried to grab her phone. And then she freaked out. She then later apparently she sent her daughter in undercover to because this lady came in pretending to look at the menu and make an order, and after she asked about what happened and listening to it, and then after she got her food she was like, by the way, I'm the daughter and my mom ain't no drunk, and something like that, and walked out. So yeah, because when the manager was telling the story, she's like, I'm pretty sure the lady was drunk when she was going off on us, which is probably true. You know. So yeah, there's that, and then of course, things have just been ridiculously busy. But outside of that, first thing I want to say is I haven't got to play much of some of the newer Game Pass games like Atom Fall and South of Midnight and all that. Not enough worth talking about, anyways. But I did play a demo for a game called the 100-Line Last Defense Academy, which is basically Danganronpa meets Fire Emblem. And the full game comes out later this month, and I'm looking forward to it. But y'all may remember how I told you that Danganronpa is a visual novel series about a bunch of students trapped in a high school forced to kill each other in order to escape in a sort of battle royale killing game. Battle royale, the Japanese movie, not the game genre.
Yeah.
You know, the movie that Hunger Games is technically based off of.
Fair.
Yeah, and then it's got like a Saw kind of twist to it, and then there's the evil teddy bear running the whole thing. So, this 100-Line Last Defense Academy is from the same developer, but it's about a bunch of students trapped in a high school that are they're working together to defend humanity's last hope from waves upon waves of incoming monsters. And the goal is to survive 100 days against these enemies. So it's got a mixture of the Danganronpa stuff where you're hanging out with your friends, and there's a day and night cycle, and you got two amounts of free time and building relationships, and it's got the visual novel stuff. There's a lot more voice acting in this, though. And but then, unlike Danganronpa, it's not completely visual novel. Even though those games had gameplay, it was like basically during the class trials where you're just like aiming at words and shooting truth bullets at them and shit. But this has the gameplay in this is grid tactics RPG, like Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, XCOM, Mario and Rabbids, stuff like that. So it's got actual RPG combat gameplay. And it is really cool, and you don't have to worry about characters dying because there's a resurrection system, and it actually plays into it. This demo is 3 hours long, and it covers the first 7 days of 100 in the game, and the progress carries over to the full game. So I'm definitely going to be getting this. It's one of the last Nintendo Switch exclusives that's coming out. It's also on PC, but as far as consoles, it's only on the Switch. So, and it's perfect for that. It's the perfect game for the Switch, honestly. Just with the way it plays. So I'm looking forward to also way more voice acting and fully 3D animated cutscenes in this game than this developer's usual stuff. So makes it a little more accessible. Also, it knows what it thinks it is at first, because there's this one character with blue hair, this crazy girl with blue hair, who I can only describe as Hot Topic Harley Quinn, who she's a lot like that girl from My Hero Academia whose name escapes me, but she's the one that like takes their blood and then takes their form. She's got like the needles. One of Ryan's favorite characters. I'm so ashamed I can't remember her name right now. I think it begins with a T. But anyways, she's got that kind of personality to her. She's one of my favorite characters just based on the demo, and she is
Himiko Toga.
Toga, yeah. Toga. Yeah, she's a lot like Toga. She immediately thinks that they're in a killing game. Like when she's like, "Oh, I've seen this before. A bunch of students trapped together in a high school. We're gonna be forced to kill each other. Yay!" And she's like, "Oh, this is a dream come true. I've always wanted to be part of a killing game." And then she's super disappointed when she finds out that's not what it is. But they're very aware of what it is. As a matter of fact, the mascot character in this game, at one point, he blows a horn and confetti pops out, and one of the pieces of confetti is a Monokuma head. So his coffee mug has Monokuma's face on it. So yeah, they're definitely... Spike Chunsoft is a developer that doesn't so much break the fourth wall as completely shatter it. So
nice.
That's one of the things I love about them. So yeah, fun demo so far. Last thing I have, which will transition perfectly into our topic, is... I didn't talk about it last time, so I'm going to do double duty here. Last two episodes of SNL. First, we had the Mikey Madsen and Morgan Wallen episode. Mikey Madsen, first time ever hosting SNL. She's the Oscar winner for Honora. She's the main character in that. I also found out from watching that episode, from the monologue, that she's been in an assload of Scream movies and other horror movies. I don't remember which one it is, but one of those movies, she's in a pool and a guy sets her on fire with a flamethrower. And I'm like, oh, that looks very familiar, but that's a I don't remember what horror movie that's from. It might have been one of the Screams, actually.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, okay, and she absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like, fucking nailed it. I'm always super impressed when first-time hosts do really, really well. And she did really well.
Yes, she did.
Morgan Wallen, though, did some controversy, which he was already controversial, because the first time he was on SNL, he got... we'll talk about that more, actually, later. But needless to say, this time he caused more controversy by walking off stage at the... during the good nights, instead of staying on for them. And then later on Twitter or Instagram, he posted a picture of his flight out that said, "Take me back to God's country." So, yeah. So needless to say, in the Jack Black episode that came last weekend of SNL,
that was fantastic.
They made fun of him for it. They made fun of Morgan Wallen for that. They in the cold open, the political bit with the Trump bit, they threw in he said, "Take me back to God's country." Am I right? You know, like that was a stab at that, and then they made fun of him again in the Weekend Update for it. So, there's been a lot of controversial musical guests on SNL, which is one of the things we'll definitely talk about in the topic tonight. But yes, the Jack Black episode was hilarious, and if you thought the Timothée Chalamet episode was unhinged, holy shit, this one gave it a run for its money.
Jack Black is a character, he's an acquired taste, but he's unhinged as fuck.
Yes.
He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, I love him too. And I love when he does like cameos and stuff and sings in them. Like, he's in the video game Psychonauts too. He does a voice in that and does a song for like a whole psychedelic bit that happens in there. But yeah, his skits, I paid attention throughout the whole night. I don't think there was a single skit the entire episode where someone didn't break and start laughing.
I saw that. I noticed that.
Yeah, and it was like, how can you, though, like, Jack Black's the kind of person that I couldn't even stare at him without cracking up. Like, he could just do nothing. I could just be having a stare down with him and I'd start laughing. You know? That's just, you know, he's got one of those faces. So I have to imagine, yeah, it would be hard not to. And I really enjoyed that skit where they're all trying to one up each other and they look at the camera and it makes different noises. I noticed when they did the ooh wah from Disturbed, that's when Bo and Yang started cracking up. Um, yeah, they got them. They got them with that. The one upping skit. There was a lot of great ones. Also, I before I forget, there was I watched this episode live as it was airing that night after we got off here, and so I got to see a live oopsie that would be censored in rebroadcasts, or in the streaming version.
What happened?
So during the weekend update, when Ego Nodum came out and did her stand-up comedian character, Miss Eggy, and she would do the bit where she would say a line and then point the microphone at the audience to have them finish it, but like since they've never seen this before, they shouldn't know what she's gonna say. So the first time she did it, she was like, because y'all know Miss Eggy don't. And then she put the microphone in the audience, said play, and she was like, how'd y'all know I was gonna say that? You shouldn't know that. Well, there was a second round. She was I forgot what the build up to it was, but she said, because y'all know these men ain't, and then she put the microphone at the audience, and the audience said shit. And watching it live, I got to hear the audience say shit uncensored, and I saw Michael and Colin's reactions in the background were genuine shock because they weren't expecting that, and she wasn't expecting that. And Ego said, oh, she's like, we're going to have to pay a fine for that. But no, that wasn't what she intended to say. What she was going to say is, these men ain't worth my time or something like that. You know, it wasn't going to be. But the audience just, boom, went for the immediate shit. And if you were watching it live when it actually happened, then you got to see that happen uncensored. And I did. And I'm so glad that I was there for that. I wish I was recording it. So that was beautiful. What a beautiful episode, that Jack Black episode. Tonight's episode is going to be hosted by John Hamm with musical guest Lizzo, who has lost a lot of weight, by the way, when I saw the promos. Anyways, though, so I'm looking forward to that episode. John Hamm has historically always been a really good host on the show. His episodes are always great. So, alrighty. Well, with that little bit of a SNL recap out of the way, that's a perfect transition into the first time that the topic comes next.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elton John and Brandy Carlisle.
All right, everyone, it's time for this episode's discussion, whatever you want to call it. And we're doing a continuation of the episode from 2 episodes ago where we talked about SNL. This time we're going to be talking about SNL musical performances and music that came from the show, and also movies based on SNL skits, and maybe some things that aren't based on SNL skits, but like prominent cast members went on to do, that are notable works of theirs as well. Or movies that they made while they were still on the show as well. So, I'm going to start with that, in that saying, when I ask you guys, what is your favorite movie based on an SNL skit?
Oh, man. It's been a while since I've seen it, but MacGruber.
MacGruber, really? I was expecting you to say Wayne's World.
See, no, yeah, I don't even know why Wayne's World didn't even cross my mind. Yeah, Wayne's World.
It sounded like you were about to have I heard a but coming. I like Wayne's World, but then you thought about it and you were like, you know what? There is no but. I like Wayne's World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, there is no but. Wayne's World.
Fair enough. I don't know why. That one seems like the most you movie.
Yeah.
All the ones they've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
quite frank, honestly. But MacGruber's a good one
Wayne's
too.
World, Wayne's World.
Will Forte, a parody of MacGyver, obviously.
Yeah.
What about you, Brooksy?
Oh
I
man.
know you want to. I know you want to say. I want to. I know you want to say Hot Rod, but that one's not based on a skit. We
I
don't talk about
know,
that.
I know, and that's the thing is that's why I was like, I know Hot Rod is not based on a skit. It just is part of the Saturday Night Live cinematic universe. Um,
Yeah, we'll
I
call it that.
yeah, because
Yeah,
that is by
yeah,
far
yeah.
that
Right
is a
up there.
comfort
Right
movie
up
for
there
me.
with right up there with Brooklyn 99, Barry, and Portlandia. Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, like I don't wanna necessarily piggyback, but I gotta piggyback, man. Wayne's World is that's just pure comedic gold still to this day. Like it's a
Yeah.
that is like a comfort nighttime. I'm going to bed, but I want to watch something for like 30, 45 minutes. Like Wayne's World is always that for me.
Fair enough.
I think I actually like I have a handful in rotation. Actually, one of the rotations I had last night completely separately was the movie Friday because I just love that movie. Um, but yeah, I gotta go with Wayne's World. Like I really have to go with that as probably my favorite.
I guess I'll be the only one with a different answer here. And Wayne's World is definitely top tier, but I'm gonna say Blues Brothers,
Yeah.
which is which is also top tier.
No, it
Aykroyd and
is.
Yeah.
Belushi. Um, yeah. And Jimmy Fallon did a phenomenal Blues Brothers tribute at the opening of the SNL 50th concert.
Yes, he
Um,
did.
and then went on to host the show right after that. And boy, that man was out of breath, wasn't he? But damn, he nailed it though. He
Actually,
nailed that. Um, but yeah,
Actually, would I be able to change my answer? Because I needed to Google and I didn't realize it originated from an SNL skit. Um,
oh,
I would actually put Office Space. That came up on a list of movies that came from skits from an SNL.
oh yeah, I guess it kind of did, didn't it? Yeah, I forgot about that. There's some really obscure ones too. Like Kristen Wiig played a girl named Gilly,
Mm,
that got a movie. There was that movie or that skit where Fred Armisen and I forget who the woman was, but they were cheerleaders. I think that became a movie. Um, so many obscure ones I can think of. Coneheads became a movie. Um, Night at the Roxbury became a movie. There are a few. McGruber, Nick said earlier. This is
yeah.
just off the top of my head. I don't have a list pulled up, but
I literally had to Google what is it? What was the phrase that I Googled? Movies based on SNL skits. Um, and yeah, Office Space came up on that. I mean, first of all, shot in my home turf of the Dallas Fort Worth area. And fun fact, that movie at the very beginning, whenever he's sitting in traffic and he keeps trying to get over into a different lane, and then that lane is now stopped, and the lane that he originally was in starts moving. That is shot on a highway called 635 over in Dallas. And that is the most accurate depiction of what it is like driving on that highway. It is incredibly frustrating. God, I love that movie so much. But I'm pretty sure the skit was
so
originally on based on Milton.
oh, okay, okay. Is Office Space the movie where they beat the shit out of a printer to a rap
Yes,
song?
Yes.
yes, it is. Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
Family Guy did a parody of that in the Surf and Bird episode
Yes,
I
I do
remember
remember that.
that.
when Brian and Stewie beat the shit out of the record. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Office Space is a good choice. Okay, yeah, Blues Brothers. So the concert, Nick, I know you said that you watched it.
Yeah, I
What
was so
what a
one of the
performance.
I really enjoyed seeing Jelly Roll on stage.
I knew you would.
Yeah,
You
the fact that he did a tribute to Johnny Cash, that was pretty cool. Um, but what I want to talk about, what I want to pick apart is that Lonely Island medley.
Oh my God, yes. A 6 minute
Dude.
medley with the
Oh,
Lonely Island.
man.
So, you know,
So much happened.
to give the listeners a visual, right? So we open up on Lady Gaga on piano, playing a song, and Andy doing a cover of, I want to say, one of her songs actually, and absolutely
Yes.
bombing it on purpose. Singing it bad on purpose. And she's like, "This isn't gonna work," and yada yada. So she's like, "We'll do one of your songs," and he's like, "Yeah, but Justin isn't here to sing his parts," and Lady Gaga's like, "I'll do those parts for you." So they start doing Dick in a Box with Lady Gaga doing Justin Timberlake's parts. And then Lazy Sunday kicks in and Andy's like, "Oh shit, it's a medley." And then Chris Parnell comes on stage and they go hard. Yorma Taccone comes out in a cupcake outfit dancing around. People are carrying laser cats. There's pictures from everything going on. So they're doing a bit of Lazy Sunday. Then T-Pain comes in with bits of "I'm on a Boat." He's there. Bad Bunny is doing an operatic version of "I Just Had Sex" over on another stage. And this whole thing is pure chaos but works perfectly. And then oh god, it wasn't Michael Bolton, but it was the guy from Nirvana, I think, came out to do the Jack Sparrow
Dave
bit.
Grohl.
It was Dave Grohl. You're right. Dave Grohl doing Jack Sparrow. And he also no, you know what? Speaking of Nirvana, I liked a lot of the artist mashups. They had some very interesting choices. Post Malone and Nirvana, for example.
Dude, that was a collaboration I never thought I would ever see. Post Malone leading Nirvana. That was pretty fucking cool.
Yep.
He did Smells Like Teen Spirit some justice.
One of my favorite, yeah, he did. And one of my favorite collaborations that night was Arcade Fire and the Talking Heads together. That was really cool to see.
I'm really hoping, I know this is wishful thinking, but I'm really hoping at some point they actually go into the studio and record it with Post Malone's record, or with his vocals.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Hell
know
yeah,
what
it
I
would.
what I really loved about this concert though was seeing all the celebrities in the audience and their reactions to different songs. Pedro Pascal and Paul Rudd are both so fun. They had so much energy. They were dancing the whole night. You could tell they were enjoying themselves. It is
They
very
were having a
obvious to me.
blast.
It is very obvious to me from watching that concert that Paul Rudd is a huge fan of Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Because that man was
Yeah.
so into it. He was breaking down. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Rudd
It's a
and
good
Pedro
song.
Paul Rudd and Pedro Pascal both have major golden retriever energy and must be protected at all costs.
Yes.
They are great. And they're always great hosts on SNL too. So other parts of that thing, I liked seeing Fred Armisen playing the drums for the Talking Heads. That was cool. And I like that it wasn't just like music artists that have been on the show and they're like doing other artists' songs and then collaborating with other artists, but also they were doing like music characters and skits that have been in the past, like that one with Will and Anna, where Will Ferrell's the bald guy on the piano, and they're doing like these
Yes.
contemporary a cappella versions of modern hip hop songs.
That shit was so fucking funny.
Yes, it was. I also loved. Was it Backstreet Boys or NSYNC that came out? I can't remember.
It was Backstreet Boys. Justin Timberlake is part of NSYNC, so
Right,
he wasn't.
right.
Since he wasn't there, yeah.
So
Yeah, it was the Backstreet Boys.
it's crazy looking at when you see all the celebrities in the audience and like the different ages of all of them. There's a lot of old people, a lot of young people, a lot of people our age out there. They all had different reactions to different songs, and you could tell
Yeah.
like a lot of it being generational, But that song, when the Backstreet Boys came out, or yeah,
Everybody got up on their feet.
Everyone, literally everyone, knew that song, no matter how old or young they were. But the biggest reactions came from the female members of the audience that are around our age. And
Yeah.
what I noticed in particular is like the biggest reaction came from a lot of the cast of SNL that we grew up watching. So like the biggest reactions came from like Adie Bryant, Kate McKinnon, Sarah Sherman, them, which I thought was like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I I love how they came out into the audience, got them involved in the singing and all that, and and I love Jimmy's energy as a host as he came out and he got involved. I love when he came up to Jerry Seinfeld and did a Seinfeld impression in front of him. I always love that.
It's fantastic.
Like, hey, are you enjoying the show? It was great. It's a really great show. And then I can't remember. He talked about how he got. I love how Adam Sandler was conveniently missing. Had to go to the bathroom or whatever at the time when Jimmy started talking about how he got on the show by doing an Adam Sandler impression. Yeah,
man.
But maybe he was just prepping because later he did come out on stage to introduce one of the singers. So, yeah, they got a few. Keenan came out to introduce one of the singers. They had it was a lot of great stuff there, but yeah, that Lonely Island medley, holy shit, that really stood out.
Really took the cake. And
I went back onto YouTube and watched that again just on its own a couple times.
I said, didn't Snoop Dogg get up on that stage too?
He did. He was. Yeah, I think he did actually.
And he pulled Jelly Roll up on stage with him. We got to hear Jelly Roll rap a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was. I think it's because he's on one of his songs.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what it was. So yeah. So on that note, so I watched the documentary too that Questlove did. And also big props to Questlove and the Roots for a lot of the backup music that they did for that concert. Great job. But so I watched the documentary, and there's been so many memorable musical performances on SNL over the years. Not the skits, but the actual artist that comes on to do two songs, one right before the Weekend Update and one right before the last skit or two of the night. And there have also been some very controversial ones, and they cover a lot of that in the documentary. The one that I always think of right away, do either of you remember what happened with Ashley Simpson?
No, I
SNL?
don't.
No, I do not.
Okay, so all right. So what happened with her was they discovered during rehearsals that she was kind of losing her voice because she was coming down with a cold or something. So they decided that she would lip sync her performance. They would play the song over the speakers, and she would lip sync. So the first performance went off without a hitch. Second performance, though, what happened was her guitarists and her drummer started playing two different songs. They were not on the same page. And then when the song actually started playing, her voice was coming out of the speakers even though she wasn't doing anything. So on live, on air, you got to hear her be like, what the hell is going on? What am I supposed to do? All that, And when they realized there was an error, they finally fade to a bumper and go to an early commercial. But you basically saw this fall apart live on air. And in order to try and save face, she like danced a little jig off stage. She did like a little jig. And Family Guy later went on to make fun of this. Now, of course, they exaggerated it because what actually happened was they did play one of her songs, but it was the wrong song, But in the exaggerated Family Guy cutaway where they make fun of this, Ashley Simpson goes to sing, and instead of her song, all you hear is Old Man River. And then she looks at the camera embarrassed and does a little jig off stage. So yeah, they made fun of that. Now there have been a few other moments though. There have been some artists that decided to since the show is live, and even though they do rehearse, but since it's live, a lot of music artists have decided to go rogue. So here's something that happened. They talked about in the interview. Rage Against the Machine, the band, this is what I mean by Lorne Michaels likes controversy. I just kind of picture him like an evil puppeteer behind the scenes, menacingly rubbing his hands together, going "Wahahaha," and it's because he put Rage Against the Machine on the same episode as Greg Forbes during the year that he ran for president.
Oh no!
Hell yeah!
Exactly.
Hell yeah!
So during rehearsal, they had him as the host.
Pure chaos.
It was chaos, and I'll tell you why. Because during the episode, during the rehearsals, they had upside down flags with messages written on them hanging over the amplifiers and stuff, and they told them they couldn't do that during the show. They're like, you can't do that. So there is commercial on the night of airing. They're about 30-some seconds to air, 35 seconds to air for the first song. And the crew notices that they have those upside-down flags on their amps hanging on there.
Oh, no.
Because Rage Against the Machine is the kind of band that says, we don't do what you tell us to do. We say, fuck that.
I was going to say, that was a very
thing.
PG version of them.
Yes. So they have roadies form a perimeter around them on stage so that the crew and security can't get to them. And so there's a scuffle, and eventually they successfully succeed in taking the flags away. Unfortunately, 7 seconds before the show goes live, and they just go on and do their song normally. They go back to their dressing room, and a representative from SNL comes in and tells them that the show's going long tonight, and their second performance has been cut.
Woof.
So one of the band members doesn't take too well to this, and he basically rips up one of the flags and turns it into a weapon, like a something he can swing around and hit someone with, and goes to Forbes' dressing room. Except Forbes is in the middle of doing a skit, and his family are the ones that are in there. And since this guy just ran for president, Secret Service is still following him around. So they take the guy down, and they basically, the entire band gets escorted out of the building. And
Jesus.
So if you ever go back and watch that episode, you'll notice that Rage Against the Machine is mysteriously missing from the good nights at the end. That's because they're not there, because they got escorted out of the building. And since this shit's live, you don't get to see what actually happened, but you do get to see the aftermath without context. And then when you get that context later and go back and rewatch that episode with the context in mind, you kind of notice their absence at the end.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so it's crazy the stuff that happens. There have been other artists that have did political messages. There was one, I forget her name, but very famously during rehearsal, she faked them out on the song she was going to do and the photo she was going to hold up of a starving child. And during the actual airing of the show, she made a political statement by holding up a picture of the Pope and ripping it in half during her performance.
Hell yeah.
There have been a lot of artists that didn't get reception, good reception at all, just for their performance. There was this one guy, this one band that was so bad that they didn't get a single applause at the end, and in fact, someone yelled, "That was shit," from the balcony after they were done. But there was the band Blondie, right?
Blondie, yeah.
So the female member of that band discovered this rap group called the Funky Four plus one more, and when they asked her to host SNL, they asked Blondie to co-host SNL, both band members. They said you get to choose your musical guest, and they chose them. That they pioneered something that was the first time a hip hop group had ever been on live TV. It was a new
Nice.
thing. It was a big, new, controversial thing, and they made it happen. And then another thing, John Belushi found a punk band called Fear and got them on the show, and that was a big new thing for them. This band, they went all out with the performance. They had a mosh pit that they brought in that jumped around, throwing each other across the room and shit up front for the
Oh shit.
performance. you know,
Okay.
and they were like, you just look out at the stage and there's all these like, because this was a first for this time, and there's there's like Mr. and Mrs. Normal American Tourist, like shocked, clutching at their pearls at this demonic performance happening in front of them, you know, and but John Belushi was all in on it. He loved it. He was like, yeah, that's the stuff. Lead singer of that band, of Fear, said he loved that man like a brother. Um, he helped their career take off. In fact, they said in this documentary, for a lot of music artists, SNL, their performance on SNL kind of defined their careers. That's when they really took off. Adele
Mm-hmm.
is an example of that. She was very popular in the UK, but she didn't take off on American charts until her first time performing on SNL.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Um, yeah, a lot of great examples of that. But so I know you guys have both seen quite a few SNL episodes and quite a few music guests on them. Can you remember any particular performance that stood out to you as super memorable out of all the music performances you've seen on the show? Um,
Now, I haven't talked about this artist in quite some time, and once upon a time, I used to talk about this particular artist all the time. Justin, I'm sure you remember.
yeah.
Um, I don't remember what season or what episode it was, but I do vaguely remember James Durbin being a musical guest on SNL at one point or another.
So James Durbin
I
was on SNL. I don't remember
again
that.
don't remember what
But
season. I think so.
hmm.
I believe so.
So
Let me let me fact check that.
no problem. I'd say one of the most memorable for me was Billie Eilish. She performed the same episode she hosted because one of her songs, she did this thing that made it look like the stage was rotating, but like vertically. Like she was walking on the walls and ceiling and shit, and I don't know how they pulled it off. It's some kind of camera trick, but it was really cool. Um, and I guess it's worth mentioning they didn't have a lot of flashy performances like that at first. And it was usually just like people singing with a brick wall behind them until more modern artists started pioneering the more showmanship stuff like that.
Okay.
Damn it. No, that's he was not on SNL.
Ah, that's unfortunate.
I was I was thinking about the time that he was a musical guest on Conan O'Brien.
Fair enough.
Um but there's another one that I have in mind that I remember. It was quite recent actually.
Oh,
Um I think it was actually this season. Um and I'd have to say it's my favorite performance that I've seen over the years.
okay.
Jelly Roll and his song Liar that was on his newest album, Beautifully Broken.
Fair enough. And before I forget, the other Morgan Wallen controversy before he came back in a more recent episode was back during COVID, he was caught like at a party sucking face with a bunch of people during lockdown time, and so he was going to be on SNL, but they canceled his appearance and replaced him with Jack White. um, and he did end up on an episode later and agreed to, as penance, they did a skit making fun of him for the whole thing. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, and he was in the skit, so kind of
okay.
owned it. But Brooksy, what's a memorable music artist performance on SNL for you?
So I know between the three of us, I am the least avid watcher of SNL. But I have an oldie that is what I think of as like my favorite musical performance I've ever seen on SNL. I wasn't I wasn't old enough to be able to watch it when it first aired, but I watched it years down the road whenever I started trying to catch up on SNL when I was younger. It is the I think it was the very first appearance that they ever had on SNL as a musical act. But I think it was the first appearance for Green Day on SNL.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah, it was like mid 90s, like 94, 95, 96, somewhere around there. Um, and they played a song that I personally love a lot called "Geek Stink Breath." It's from one of their older albums. I mean, naturally from the '90s and all of that. But the premise of "Geek Stink Breath" is is about using meth because all artists from Green Day at once upon a time back in the '90s, they all loved meth. And when you watch the performance live on SNL, you can see just so clearly how tweaked out and unhinged Billy Joe Armstrong is on stage. Like I'm like, this dude is full on methed out while playing Geek Stink Breath on national television, and that is one of the most amazing punk things I could imagine. This is obviously well before people started calling them sellout, post 2004 American Idiot and everything else. But man, it's if you haven't seen it before, like I assume it has to be on YouTube. It's worth a watch because you're just like, "Whew, those are some really wide eyes, man. I can see you're all white in your eyes. Like it's awesome."
So speaking of tweaked out and unhinged, Kanye West. Uh,
Oh
Oh
God.
God.
Oh no.
so
Why?
this was part of the musical documentaries. The only reason I bring it up because he was the one that pioneered the whole showmanship thing on where the people start doing other stuff, because they actually mentioned it in the documentary. They were like, other artists would start coming to us with these crazy ideas for their performance, and we'd be like, we can't do that, and they'd be like, well, Kanye did it. So yeah, so dude, this behind the scenes stuff, man. SNL sounds so cutthroat and borderline toxic behind the scenes, quite frankly.
It sure does.
you know, well, that's Hollywood. Ba da ba ba da ba boo. Anyways, um, so so the first time he performed on the show, he wanted to do this crazy thing where he wanted to have like mirrors on the floor and behind him and all around him and stuff, and like during rehearsal they saw that the mirrors on the side were reflecting like studio lights and cameras and stuff, and it didn't look good, so they removed the sides of the thing without telling him. And when he found out right before the song was supposed to come on during commercial, he threw a hissy fit about it and went to walk out of the building. And Lorne Michaels came running after him and appealed to his narcissism in order to get him to stay and perform, because he told him, he said, look, he's like, you walk out of here, we'll be fine. We'll figure it out. We'll still be here. We'll still do another show another weekend. These things happen all the time. It's fine. He's like, but you promised all your fans you'd be on here tonight. You're going to let them down. That's going to look bad on you. It won't, and that got him to stay. So, but then,
That's fantastic.
Kanye did a thing when he appeared, I think it was in 2018 on the show, where he wore a MAGA hat, of course, and
Yep.
and at the end of the show,
Oh, God.
He hijacked the Good Nights to come up and do a song and make a big old political rant. And thankfully for the audience watching live, his whole bit got cut short because it was past time and it just went to the nightly news or whatever. But for the people who were there in the audience, they were stuck there listening to him go on and on for like a full 10 minutes,
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was bad. And
I
I
believe
think
it.
it was Sashir Zameda that said that it was like her first time on the show, or it was Ego. It might have been Ego Notum, actually, who said like it was her first night on the show and she was so uncomfortable being stuck up there on stage listening to that guy. And it's funny because she was like, I looked around and she was like, oh shit, I'm the only black cast member still up here. Where'd the rest of them go? They snuck out. I didn't even realize. And Keenan said in an interview, he was like, look, the moment that man grabbed the mic and started going off, I was immediately like, I'm out. I know what's about to happen. I'm good. I'm leaving. He said he took off, and he was like, I don't know why he needed to do all that. He could have just said all that with the hat. The hat was pretty loud. He didn't need to do all that extra shit.
Right.
So yeah, they had to go off on him because Kanye is up there with the controversial SNL cast members and musical performers, and one that I think that has actually been banned from the show now. Honestly,
Good.
like yeah, they're not. I don't think they're ever bringing him back. So,
He's ruined any career he had.
yeah, basically. Um, so we'll get to the Lonely Island in a second because they're probably one of the biggest music things to ever come out of SNL. But I do want to say that although their presence has been missed, they have still succeeded in doing some great songs over the years, even without them. Pete Davidson did a really great COVID song during the weird time when they were all stuck at home, doing SNL at home. They did a really great COVID rap song featuring Adam Sandler of all people. So I was like, I never thought I'd see a Pete Davidson Adam Sandler collaboration, and honestly, if COVID never happened, I don't think I ever would, But that's just like Adam even says in the song, "I'm so fucking bored. I'm doing songs with Pete." So, yeah, it was great. Look it up, "Stuck in the House" by Pete Davidson. Great song. He did a couple others too, but that one was the one that stood out the most. They've done. When Chloe Trost was on the show, it was a little short-lived, but they had a musical guest that was a country singer on. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they did a country song parody about a really unhinged girlfriend who is gonna like go out of her way to get revenge on her ex and just goes to keeps going to more and more elaborate levels to get him back. Then when like Edie and Kate and them and Cecily were still on the show, the girls all got together and did a pop song about trying to have sex with their boyfriend in their twin bed in their old bedroom at their parents' house when they go visit for Christmas. And I was like, yeah, this has unhinged Lonely Island vibes to it for sure. So they have tried to emulate their missing presence throughout the show every once in a while. Actually, Pete Davidson and Taylor Swift did a song with Please Don't Destroy about the three of them being virgins. Yeah, on one episode. They've gone through quite a few. There was actually one really good song they did one time where it was just like literally every single cast member was part of it and they all played different MCs and the entire song was just all of them introducing themselves as different MCs on the song and their names just get more and more unhinged and stupid as it goes. And like they never get to the actual song because it's just all of them introducing themselves at the same
That's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, they've done some great ones, but The Lonely Island is probably the only actual band to come out of SNL. You know, um, I would say, and still to this day continuing to make music. Now they have a podcast with Seth Meyers. Um, Andy has made several movies and a Emmy-winning TV show. He's been in That's My Boy, Hotel Transylvania, Pop Star, and, of course, Hot Rod.
You
Brooksy.
damn right.
Oh, man, which I actually think was Andy's first feature film, was Hot Rod. It also had cameos from fellow Lonely Island members Yorma and Akiva in it as his, like, lazy stoner friends. And Bill Hader was in it as well. And I believe his angry stepdad was Ian McShane, who has played many roles, but I remember most recently as Blackbeard in the fourth Pirates movie. Was it the fourth one?
I don't know.
Nick, which Pirates movie is Blackbeard? The fourth one?
Blackbeard.
Yeah,
Hold
the one with
on.
the mermaids and zombies, right? Yeah, because five is Salazar, and he's played by Javier Bardem. So yes, I think that's right. Blackbeard's the fourth one, played by Ian McShane. But yes, Hot Rod.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was on Stranger Tides.
Yes, and yeah, so Hot Rod, starring Andy Samberg, also featuring Bill Hader and a bunch of other people. Ian McShane was an interesting pull for something like that, but yes. Have you seen Hot Rod, Nick? Have you ever seen that?
I tried to watch it.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, what? You don't.
I tried to watch it. Okay, so
You don't.
m-
You don't get
in
it,
my
Nick.
hold on.
He's about
hold on.
to say
Hear-
it was brain rot. I bet, isn't he?
Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
I'm gonna have a hard time doing so.
No, I'm surprised. It's exactly. I would be genuinely surprised Nick wouldn't like that. It's genuinely the kind of stupid slapstick
Yeah.
stoner comedy that he likes.
You don't.
So I watched it. I tried to watch it before I had that before I developed that sick stoner sense of humor.
Fair.
Okay.
Okay.
So I haven't revisited it
Time to give it another chance.
since.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Dude,
time
it
for me to
is-
give it another chance.
It is
Yes.
one of the most. For me, it's one of the most quotable movies because I was literally about to be like, "You don't get it, do you, Nick?
It's
It used to
very
be legit.
stupid. It's very stupid,
In fact-
but that's the point.
It used to be legit, man."
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, you'll have to give Hot Rod another chance now. That there's been a few things that I've gone into that I didn't like the first time, and then I rewatched them later with a different mindset, and I was like, oh, this is better than I gave it credit for. The Departed, I didn't like it the first time I saw it. Now it's one of my all-time favorite movies. Same for Inglourious Bastards, which is definitely an acquired taste because Quentin Tarantino is, but it's a slow burn, but the payoff is worth it. Also, what's not to love about Christoph Waltz? Anyways, though, yeah. Tell us, if you wanted to talk about Hot Rod, Brooksy, this is the time.
Flynn, no.
Oh, literally, all I was gonna do is just throw a quote at Nick, which was just telling him that he used to be legit. In fact, he was too legit. He was too legit to quit.
Yes.
But now he's not legit. He's unlegit, and for that reason, he has to quit.
What?
So
That hurt my brain.
I know that's Andy Samberg for you.
Yeah.
Early Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Since Nick will have to give Hot Rod another watch, Brooksy, you're definitely gonna have to watch Popstar eventually. It's on Prime.
I will.
right now, but whatever.
Nick, if you can commit to the bit of giving Hot Rod a full shot, I will watch Popstar in return.
Because
Okay,
Popstar
bet.
is a great Lonely Island movie where it is. Andy plays fictional character Connor for real, and it's a mockumentary movie that's a direct parody of Justin Bieber's documentary movie, um, Never Say Never or whatever. Because the full movie's
I'm fucking dead.
what?
Flynn turned on the printer.
Oh,
That's what that sound was if you heard it in the back.
That's
And
great.
here's Nibbler. I'm surrounded by kitty cats.
yeah, it's a good thing to be surrounded by. So the Pop Star is basically the mockumentary about Connor splitting from his original band, played by the other Lonely Island members, and being a solo artist, and then his life falling apart as he becomes more and more of a pretentious douchebag, letting fame go to his head, and then trying to rekindle and fix his broken relationships. It is, and of course, the whole
It
thing
sounds
is
great.
the whole thing's filmed like a documentary, and it's fucking hilarious. It's got all kinds of celebrity cameos in it. Tim Meadows plays a huge role. It's got Sarah Silverman, Justin Timberlake, Seal.
Listen,
The part with the wolves is hilarious.
I'm in for a fake music movie.
Honestly, a fake
probably,
music movie where they made a whole ass soundtrack just for this movie.
I would be
Andy
down.
wrote a bunch of songs in as his fake character Connor.
Listen, what I absolutely love Andy Samberg. Not to mention, like in my top 5 favorite comedy movies of all time, is Walk Hard, which is a fake music movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I
John,
would. Yeah,
John C. Reilly.
Yeah, no, oh god, I love that movie so much. This feels very much up my alley, and I will be so excited to watch it once Nick has watched Hot Rod again.
Indeed.
Fair enough.
And yeah. So Nick, what was your favorite part of, or what was the funniest part of Pop Star for you? I just want to know. Was it the wolves?
The what?
Was it the wolves? The wolves?
I'm having a hard time remembering.
The wolves that went crazy when Seal sang and attacked everyone?
That shit was fucking funny.
I knew you'd like that.
Yeah, that was.
Or was
that
it the
pretty
wardrobe
funny.
malfunction?
Oh!
Yeah.
That was pretty funny too.
That Chris Red may or may not have set up.
Right.
I like how he was messing with him. Dude's got crazy eyes. Yeah, Chris Red is in this too, former SNL cast member as well. He was on for a bit.
Have you seen his new show that he has on Netflix right now?
Chris Red?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Yeah, he has a show I'm not even kidding, it's like a 2025 version of Pimp My Ride, but Chris Red is the host instead.
Oh, nice.
And it's just a bunch of millennials working on a car that is someone's beater and making it usable again with the extra Pimp My Ride-esque things to it. It's definitely worth a watch. It's only like 8 episodes. They're like half-hour long episodes, and my wife and I loved it.
Nice. Nice. I did not know that. Yeah, so many SNL cast members that I grew up watching have gone on to do so many things. Obviously, we know the likes of Adam Sandler, David Spade, and all them gone on to make very popular movies, Joe Dirt, Waterboy, stuff like that.
Steerte.
Yeah, but like even some lesser known, like Bill Hader has gone on to make a very popular show on HBO called Barry, a very serious drama where he plays a very creepy serial killer guy. And plays it quite well. Fred Armisen is in a drama called Portlandia. So many comedy actors go on to do serious things, and I would even argue
Jason Sudeikis was in a really funny movie, We're the Millers.
Yes, and that was funny.
Not to mention, I'm so sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, he also has gone on to be in the award-winning show Ted Lasso, which I know isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it is...
Oh, they're so wrong.
It is a very...
Sorry.
It is uplifting humor, is, I guess, the best way to put it. It's...
Yeah. It's wholesome. It's heartfelt. It is funny. It is... I will tell you, as far as
it's
from very
wholesome.
beginning to very end... Ted Lasso is probably my favorite TV show I've ever watched from beginning to end. Like, and I'm
Oh
very
wow.
very excited to see. I love it. Like, genuinely, I have seen that show from beginning to end countless times. It's like a comfort background thing for both my wife and I. I literally even have a full cardboard cutout of Ted Lasso in our house right now.
Nice.
I like
Wow.
love. Yeah, I got it as a surprise gift for Sam for Christmas one year, and like I literally took the cardboard cutout out of the box, built it so it was standing up, and then I wrapped it in the Christmas wrapping, so it just looked like a body just hiding right behind the tree, fully wrapped up. She was like, "That's Ted, isn't it?" I was like, "No, no, it's definitely not Ted Lasso. No, no, no."
Yeah, I love a lot of those cast members that came out of the. Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph have stayed really good friends, and they were in a movie together called Bridesmaids, a comedy movie
Oh yes.
during
Oh yeah.
during the era of look, women can be gross too comedy movies that we got
Yeah.
a lot of at that time. I think that might have been around the time of the Ghostbusters reboot too.
Oh,
Maybe.
I don't. We don't speak of that.
Yeah. That was the Melissa McCarthy Renaissance era.
I do
don't get me wrong. I
did
love
I
Melissa
did like
McCarthy.
Bridesmaids though. I did like Bridesmaids.
I I wish there was a way to go back and erase my memory of ever seeing that horrendous Ghostbusters movie.
So you
Oh
could see it
no, that
again for the
bad?
first time, right?
No, it was horrendous.
No, I opted out of it for your reason alone. I'm like, I'm okay. I will keep those extra few
I
brain
wish I
cells.
could get that time back. I can't.
Melissa McCarthy is also a very acquired taste as far as humor. Um,
I enjoy a good Melissa McCarthy movie. Don't get me wrong, but that was
yeah,
bad for her.
yes. Um, I was gonna say, by the way, another thing they covered in the documentary worth talking about: when a musical guest plays double duty as the host, when they are the host and the musical guest in the same episode. A few
Yes.
examples: Justin Timberlake, Billie Eilish, Dua Lipa, Paul McCartney. They've all done that. Mick Jagger.
Didn't Lady
Uh,
Gaga just do that?
yep, yep, literally just did it. And absolutely nailed it. They said it is a lot more work because you see, Bad Bunny actually did that too this season, I think. Because they say you look at the list of things and it's just like they have to be very meticulous about what sketch goes before the performance because of the limited amount of time that they have to take them like behind the scenes and get them changed and all that stuff. That's why like the first musical performance is right before the weekend update so that everybody has a chance to breathe before going into the next skit, you know.
Right, yeah.
Um so it's like Bad Bunny said that like he's like when you first get here on Monday and you look at the schedule and you see all this stuff back to back at first it's like damn man I don't want to do this. you know it's just more the more documentaries I watch about this show the more I realize that working not only working there but just hosting there is a fucking nightmare. Is an absolute like endurance test, I guess would be
I
the
mean
best way
that
to put it.
I mean you're essentially getting a behind the scenes look as to what it's like to and how much stress goes into becoming a part of the Five Timers Club.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. That's why I'm always impressed when someone who's there for the very first time can always knock it out of the park the first time because it's like
Right.
that shit ain't easy, but they make it work. All right, real quick while we still have time. Favorite Lonely Island song, gentlemen? Tell the audience.
Jack Sparrow.
Gonna be lazy Sunday from me.
Lazy Sunday in OG. In OG.
Yeah. I just when I think of the Lonely Island, there is this guy named Nick that I went to high school with, played football with, knew for years. Actually, was one of my groomsmen for my wedding. Uh, he and I's favorite thing to do was to get in his little beater of a red truck that he had, and just drive for hours on end. And I that was right around the time when Incredibat had come out because I was a junior in high school, so it was 2009, I think. Um, and I literally like we would play that album from beginning to end over and over and over, and there was just something about him and I just belting at the top of our lungs from the way we're dropping Hamiltons, and we'd just be fake throwing money in the middle of the car. It's just like a good core memory. I love that song for that reason.
Nice. So I also have kind of an old school answer. I think I'm gonna say Boombox.
Okay.
Boombox is funny.
Boombox is fun. And I think that's one that I know all the lyrics to by heart now as well. I can't say that for all their songs, but that one. They have so many good ones. Jack Sparrow is up there. I Just Had Sex is up there. Go Kindergarten is up there. The Creep. Like a Boss.
Like a mouse.
Yes.
Like a mouse.
But you want to know what one of my favorite, most obscure songs they've done is? And it's not even so much a song as it is like a spoken word skit set to music. But threw it on the ground. I love that one.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
He said, my so-called girlfriend hands me her phone, says it's my dad. My dad's not a phone. I threw it on the ground. Yeah. Yeah, I fucking love that one. That's the one they did a music video for, too. You'd be surprised how many of them they did music videos
Oh
for.
god, the Like a Boss music video is so unhinged, especially once you get down to the sewer with the fish, and I'm just like, oh
when
no.
when he's like, find a giant fish, fuck its brains
Fuck its
out.
brains out.
Yeah.
Turn into a jet.
Bomb the Russians.
Crash into the sun.
The music video for Jack Sparrow gets pretty unhinged too, with how much of a cinephile Michael Bolton is.
Yep, because he goes from Pirates of the Caribbean to Aaron Brockovich
to fucking wow.
Scarface. Yep, that's the one. Yep. Yeah. Michael Bolton is a major cinephile. I love that they got him back for Popstar to do the closing song, Incredible Thoughts, which, by the way, is not only just a great song for like the closing of a movie, but is just a great song, period. Honestly.
Yeah.
It really does feel like it's so stupid because only The Lonely Island can take a song that sounds like a list of things that a stoner wrote down when they were high and make it sound this good. You know? They were like, to a dog food is just food, and to a sock, house is just a big shoe, or something like that, you know? And it's like, it literally was just stuff that, like, because remember their one friend works on a weed farm, and he just sat there writing this shit down while he was smoking his own product. Yeah, and they just made it into a song, but it fucking worked. They got, I don't know, something about Michael Bolton doing the chorus just really sells it and makes it sound like a real song. The lyrics are dumb as fuck when you actually pay attention to them, but it works. It's catchy. It's beautiful. I loved it. It's a great finale song for a movie, quite frankly.
My favorite song from from Popstar was the Bin Laden song.
Yes, which, talk about unhinged. The whole premise to that song is that the girl that he's with basically tells him, I want you to fuck me the way they fucked bin Laden. And she even puts on a turban and a beard, a fake beard. And she's like,
so unhinged.
Invade my cave with your special unit. So he was like, she wanted me to fuck her like they fucked bin Laden. I can't believe they let him premiere that song on SNL of all of the songs from that movie. But that's not the only one. I think on SNL they also did the gay rights song with Pink.
Yeah, I really like that one.
That one was, but it was, what's funny about that song is that it's Connor pretending to care about gay rights, but going out of his way to remind the listener that he himself is not gay while doing it. It's such because Connor is a character, you're not supposed to like him at first. He's a selfish, spoiled piece of shit brat, you know? who
Yeah.
betrayed his friends for the sake of fame. He's a dick, but there's a lot of character development throughout the movie. Becomes
Yeah.
likable by the end. I actually felt bad for that turtle. I'm not gonna lie. I almost cried.
Yeah.
um,
That poor
so
turtle.
yeah, you're gonna have to watch this movie, Brooksy.
I will.
It's so good.
I will.
The opening
For the
song,
turtle. Watch
yeah,
it for the turtle.
for the
Oh no.
turtle.
Oh, I don't know the turtle reference yet, but I'm watching for one reason, and that's Hot Rod.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, this is literally Lonely Island, the movie. You could almost like see it as a metaphor for their actual relationship when Andy kind of became more popular than the other two and went off to do solo things like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and shit. So, in a way, it's kind of meta, but I highly doubt that he was this much of a dick to his friends. I don't think they would still be friends and running a podcast together if he did. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But like obviously it's also a shit take on Justin Bieber's documentary movie too. So there's that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally a parody. Like the title and the poster is a parody of it. Because
Okay.
his movie was called Never Say Never, and this movie is called Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping. So yeah, it's great. But the whole thing is filmed like an actual documentary, and all the artists, like the music artists they get in interview, are the actual music artists themselves, and they play themselves in the movie and treat this like as a real thing, and like Connor was a real person. I love it. The way it's filmed is so
I did like that.
perfect. It is so perfect. Yeah, it works.
Carrie Underwood was one of them, surprisingly.
Yeah, so many cameos in this movie. There's a lot. There's a lot. A lot of SNL alumni making appearances. I think Fred Armisen was in there at one point too.
I think so, yeah.
Justin Timberlake plays his personal chef at one point in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. So that was a great movie. The opening song that they did with Adam Levine is another really good one. Like one of my favorite Lonely Island songs altogether. It's called "I'm So Humble," and the whole song he's bragging about how humble he is, which completely defeats the purpose of being humble.
So yeah, that's the complete opposite.
Which is the joke. That's the joke of the song.
Yeah.
He's like I hate compliments. Put them in the mortuary. He's like, I'm so ordinary that it's truly quite extraordinary. Just that kind of like humble. It should be called Humble Brag the song. Because that's what it is. He's like, by far I am the most humblest. He's like, something about my apple crumble is the most crumblest or some shit like that. Yeah, just the way Andy likes to, because I love when he does that kind of stupid rhyming shit like he did in Jizz in My Pants, where he was like, last week I saw a film, as I recall it was a horror film. He just mispronounces saw so he can rhyme it with horror, But also, they were supposed to be doing like, they said when they did Jizz in My Pants, because they recently talked about that on the podcast, they said that they were going for a Euro rap thing, like they were supposed to have like a slight German accent in it on purpose. Yeah. So they were kind of going, because like Euro rap was really hot at that time. So
Okay.
So that's what they were going for. Yeah. So all right. Any final thoughts on SNL movies and music?
Would be some of my favorite movies that have come out of some really good SNL alums. Happy Gilmore,
Mm-hmm.
Billy Madison,
Yes.
both grown-ups movies. Oh,
A lot of
there
them in
was
there.
there was something that reminds me. I wanted to talk about a theory that I have
Oh,
for part of the first Grown Ups film.
okay.
So when Coach Boomer died in the film, I
Yeah,
have a
the thing that
feeling.
gets them all back together.
Yes, I have a feeling that that was their tribute to Chris Farley.
Oh, you know what? That does make sense.
They were all, if not, they were all. I don't. All of them were on the show at the same time, but I know they were. They're all friends.
A good portion of them were Adam Sandler, Chris
Yeah.
Farley, David Spade, and I think maybe Chris Rock were all on at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. No. I firmly believe that that was their tribute to Chris Farley,
I guess we should
and that.
probably mention Adam Sandler's musical performances on SNL. The
Yeah.
the Hanukkah song.
Lunch Lady Land.
Yeah, yeah. Or the song about his hooded red sweatshirt.
Yes.
Or when he would play Opera Man. But I think his Hanukkah song is probably the most memorable one that he ever did.
So yeah, the infamous Hanukkah song.
They actually, on a lot of radio stations, still play that every year around Christmas time, like the taped version from that SNL performance.
Nice.
Yeah, he also, well, he would go on to do that song during his stand-up comedy routines, too.
Speaking of Hanukkah and Adam Sandler, 8 Crazy Nights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is it's a musical. It is.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Any more thoughts on this, Brooksy?
No, I think we've just about covered it.
All right. Well, that's the sign then, folks. That'll do it for this episode's topic. Now, with this new experimental thing we're trying, if you so wish, if the topic is all you cared about, feel free to take off now. That's the end of the episode for you. But for those of you that would like to stick around for the Media Corner, where we do news, reviews, and recommendations, stay tuned for that coming up next.
Let's mosey on over.
All right.
Oh, what happened? Oh, they took my freaking kidney.
All right, everybody, here we are at the Media Corner, the part of the show reserved at the end for news, reviews, recommendations, and sometimes previews. A little cherry on top of the sundae for those who want to stick around. It's prologue, main event, and epilogue. Now we're in the epilogue. And Nick has a hard out tonight. So he's going to go first for the Media Corner, and then he's going to vamoose, and Brooksy and I will wrap the show up.
All right. So I have a review of a movie that I watched on Amazon Prime called Brothers. It is a dark comedy, action, comedy, crime movie. Starring Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage as the. I don't know whether so.
Huh.
Peter Dinklage.
Thanos
So-
and a Lannister.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. So there's a way to look at this because at first both of the brothers are antagonists. Partway through the movie, one of them becomes the protagonist.
Okay.
Two criminal twin brothers. Yes, I said twin. The one who is trying to reform embark on a dangerous heist road trip. Facing legal troubles, gunfights, and family drama, they must reconcile their differences before their mission leads to self-destruction. So,
Peter Dinklage and Josh Brolin as twin brothers.
yes,
That's got to be part of the
it's
joke.
fucking nuts.
I'm guessing.
Because we get a backstory about how they grew up. They grew up in a very criminal household, needless to say.
Okay.
So that's the life. That's the only life they ever knew. Well, one job they were doing, Peter Dinklage's character gets is the only one that gets caught. Josh Brolin's character gets a second chance, essentially. So he's the one that's trying to lead a life and trying to reform himself.
Okay.
Peter Dinklage gets out 5 years later and decides to randomly hit up his brother, like, "Hey, I need help."
I had a feeling this
Even
was gonna veer into one of them cleans up their life and gets on the right track, and the other one is still a criminal and tries to draw
this
the
is
good natured one back into it kind of scenario.
so. I saw so there was something that, and this is completely off topic, but it reminded me a lot of when Sam was going to college to I think he was going to law school, and Dean comes in and be like, "Hey, Sammy, Dad's missing.
Oh
We need to
yeah,
go." It gave me very supernatural very much supernatural vibes, but in a comedic way. It's
yeah. I've seen some
it's
stories that play out like this before. It's like the like, hey, I need your help, and it's like I don't do that anymore. That's not my life anymore. I got a wife, I got kids. I can't do this stuff
exactly
anymore. And is
exactly.
and then they like guilt trip them. They're like, what about family? What about family? I'm pretty sure I've seen this in a Fast and Furious movie actually.
It was interesting. I
Okay,
IMDb gives it a 5.4 out of 10.
yikes. And what do you give it though? That's what I
I
want to hear.
that's that's harsh cuz I kind of liked this. Uh I I'd give it a 6 before I'd go as low as a 5. But I think as a rating for me for this, it sits at a safe 7, maybe a 7.5.
I had a feeling that's what you were gonna say. Okay.
It was I did chuckle a couple few times, but it's overall it didn't do anything extravagant. It followed a certain formula that I've seen before, but it's it it's like it didn't do anything extravagant. It didn't do anything to stand out. The fact that it had Peter Dinklage in it at all is why I watched it.
Yeah, what a combination of actors there.
In fact, I think
Um
it was one of the suggestions immediately after Popstar for whatever dumb reason.
Interesting. Well, dumb
Yeah.
probably is the reason, to be honest. Um, um, yeah, comedy movies and action movies usually tend to be pretty formulaic. They don't often steer from the path, but when they do, it's definitely noticeable. But this
Yeah,
sounds like a fun like. Go ahead.
yeah, it was a fun movie. I chuckled a bit.
Sounds like a fun popcorn flick. Okay.
Yeah, it
Well,
really is.
that's Brothers starring Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage on Prime Video.
I forgot to mention one other cast member that has been missing from things as of late. Uh, well, I know he recently had a comeback, but Brendan Fraser is a very he's the
Oh, yeah.
in the ongoing story he is the antagonist.
Interesting. Brendan Fraser as a villain. Well, now you have me sold.
Yes.
You know?
He's a corrections officer. His character is a corrupt corrections officer, and also the
Interesting.
son of a judge.
Of
So
course.
he's got
Of course.
connections.
Yeah, what was it Leonardo said in Django Unchained before? Before you had my attention,
Okay.
now you have my interest. But yes, okay, yeah. I kind of want to see Brendan Fraser as a villain. I'm gonna check that.
It's funny. I enjoyed it.
Alrighty then. All right. Well, is that is
All
that you're
right.
out then?
That concludes. That is my out.
All right. Well, we will catch you later.
Yeah. Always a
Yeah.
pleasure, buddy.
Oh, and one quick update for the listeners. Um, this whole home buying thing um process has come to a close. Um,
Yeah, I see what you did
the
there.
seller is signing the agreement uh in the morning. We got the townhome.
Congratulations, man. So exciting.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Congrats.
I'm excited. Yeah, this is big.
I just I
All
love
right,
I love I
I'm
love when
out.
Nick makes a pun by accident and doesn't even realize it. It's like
Yeah, that was by complete
this whole thing
accident.
came to a close. You see, it's funny because they closed the deal on the house. Oh,
Yes.
all right, man.
Oh, but yeah, that's all right. You guys have a good one, you, listeners. It was a pleasure. I will see you. I will. Well, guys will hear me in the next one. Bye.
Okay. Well, folks. Nick made his glorious exit, and now I'm gonna sneak in the middle here real quick because I've got a relatively short one. I'm just gonna give a quick recommendation for an Eli Roth directed show on Max that came out in 2022 called Urban Legend. Now, the show is called this because each episode is based on a different urban legend, and some of these are your classic urban legends like for those of you who have seen the horror movies of the same name, I think there was two of them: Urban Legend 1, 2, and then there was Bloody Mary. Oh, and then Final Cut. I guess there was four of them. But I distinctly remember one of the scenes in one of them. Might have been the Bloody Mary one. This girl has a spider bite on her cheek, and and long story short, in the end, it bursts open and a bunch of baby spiders come out of it. The spider laid eggs in her face, basically.
Ugh, no. Oh
Is
God, no.
is one of the urban legends. What's the other one? There was a very famous urban legend was this person who they were staying at a motel or something, and they have their hand down by the bottom of the bed, and they feel their dog licking their hand, and then the next day they go into the bathroom and the dog is actually dead, hanging in the shower, and written on blood in the wall is "People can lick too." Um, Stuff like that. Then there's all kinds of ones like the hook killer in the woods and like the scraping on the car and the girl comes out and it's her dead boyfriend hanging from the tree, and like the one of the most famous ones is the woman being followed to the gas station. The guy behind her keeps flashing his lights really brightly, and she thinks that he's trying to get her. And she pulls into the gas station. And when she finally confronts the driver of the vehicle behind her, he says that there was someone in the back seat of her car, and every time he popped up to kill her, the guy would flash his lights to scare him into going back down, thus saving her life every time he flashed his lights at her until they pulled in.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, nerve wracking shit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%.
But these are all genuine urban legends. That's where the name comes from, and there are even more surrounding stuff like the dark web, like the red. There's this urban legend about this website called the Red Room on the dark web, where people pay money to watch people be tortured live. So this this anthology series that so far I think is only one season long, every episode covers a different urban legend. The first episode covers the Red Room. The second episode covers the Spider Bite. The third episode has been one of my favorites so far, covers this girl who buys a haunted prom dress. She buys this dress and there's a ghost attached to it that slowly starts to drive her insane. And it is such a for basically being a show. I don't recognize any of the cast members in this show at all, but they all absolutely nail it with everything that they've done on the in each individual episode so far. And it's got these episodes take these individual stories that are basically just like short creepy campfire stories and urban legends based off rumors and people's experiences that have been told through generations throughout the years.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the most popular ones you may actually know about is the guy who goes on a date and wakes up in a bathtub full of ice with his kidney missing. Like, that's...
yeah.
That's the most popular urban legend. There's an episode about that in this show, too. I would probably argue that is the most popular urban legend, is the missing kidney one.
Yeah.
A lot of things have spoofed it, actually. It's very oft referenced in other media. And if you've never seen, there is the horror movie Urban Legend is a slasher movie where this killer in a hoodie is going around coming after all of these teenagers, but the way that they're killing them is based on different urban legends. So if you've never seen that movie, that slasher movie Urban Legend, definitely watch it. It's basically like, you know, I Know What You Did Last Summer meets Final Destination.
That sounds very much up my alley.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. The ones that come after it, maybe not as great, and one of them literally just deals with the urban legend Bloody Mary, like it's in the title of the movie. Like, it's basically Bloody Mary, they summon her, and she goes around killing all of them with other urban legends. So there's like 3 or 4 of these movies all together, but the first one is the best one. So it helps to give context, but these urban legends in each individual episode, you might each episode is anywhere between 35 to 50 minutes long, and you might be wondering how you can stretch each of these, you know, short urban legend stories out into like a 40-minute episode. Be Eli Roth, that's the answer. Because
yeah, honestly, you're not wrong.
Because the way that first of all, you can expect a lot of violence because it's Eli Roth, and there is.
Right.
It maybe doesn't go as hard on the violence as I would expect it to, but again, I'm only a few episodes in, and so there's probably some that gets more unhinged. The Red Room torture episode is probably the most violent one so far.
Okay.
There's one particular
Does
scene...
it ever...
What's that? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, does it ever reach, like... Because Eli Roth's done so much in the horror spectrum. Does it ever reach, like, to the height of, like, grotesqueness as, like, something like Hostel Part 2 or anything like that?
No, it doesn't reach... It doesn't reach Hostel levels of, like, painful to watch, like, unwatchable, but it does...
Okay.
It does try to make you uncomfortable. There's definitely some... being stuck in a fate worse than death type of shit going on here. Like,
yeah.
To give you an example, the Spider Bite episode has pretty much no violence in it whatsoever, except for the part where her cheek bursts open and spiders fly out. But
yeah, no.
That's like halfway through the episode. All the shit that comes after that becomes progressively more and more creepy and unhinged as these spiders basically burrow their way into her brain and take her over, and she starts becoming aggressive and violent towards her husband. It starts becoming something else. He takes these very simple ideas, because like the original urban legend horror story ends with the cheek bursting open and the spiders coming out. That's it. It kills her when the spiders come out of her. But in this, that's halfway through the episode. She survives it, and then it turns into something else where I don't want to spoil it, though, because the ending of this, let's just say if you've ever seen the the spaceship episode of Love, Death, and Robots with with the Spider Queen. It's an ending very similar to that.
Okay.
In this episode, and it is just his like hardly no violence at all, but one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever seen.
Got it.
Having to look at that scenery and what happens to it's definitely a fate worse than death outcome. Like the kind
Got
of
it.
which is
Okay.
just like, yeah, most of these episodes do not have happy endings, as you can imagine.
I mean, anything from Eli Roth, more often than not, does not have a happy ending.
Yeah, so this really is just like a collection of like 12 short stories about based on different urban legends that have been extended into something that only Eli Roth can pull off, and some of them actually have some very interesting twist endings. A favorite episode so far, like I said, has been the one about the haunted prom dress because there is a very interesting twist at the end of the episode that recontextualizes the whole thing.
Okay.
You know, there is every once in a while. I don't like when they do this all the time, but I do sometimes like when a paranormal story has a scientific explanation for what happened.
Okay. Yeah. No.
You know.
Personally, I like it when they do that.
Yeah, they do sometimes do that in some things. Now, I don't like it all the time. Like the Dark Pictures
Yeah.
games, I thought they did it once and that was fine, but then they did it again in the very next game, and it felt like a crutch. So
Gotcha.
when the threats actually became real, then it made it feel like my choices matter. But yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
though, that's my recommendation. It is an Eli Roth show, but it doesn't really get into like I said, the most violent episode so far has been the Red Room torture episode, which is basically about what it sounds like. But I can't. That's one that I can't really describe without spoiling it. There's like all kinds of twists and turns in that one. It goes from that to being kind of like a crime thriller, actually.
Okay.
But it that is one where like there's a lot of very violent things happening, but a lot of it is either subdued or you don't see it when it's happening, but you see the aftermath. It's surprisingly tame for Eli Roth, you know? Like, the aftermath looks pretty fucked up, but it's the kind of thing where, like, in any of his other stuff, he would have shown you the process. But here, the process happens off screen, and then the camera cuts to what the person looks like as a human pincushion after the fact.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, but even then though, it's still disturbing. I mean, whether or not you saw the pair of scissors go in the person's eyeball or not, when you see them sticking out of it, it still looks fucked. You know?
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah. But it is surprisingly tame for Eli Roth, but I'm into it. So yeah, it's on Max. It's called Urban Legend, directed by Eli Roth, not to be confused with the horror movies of the same name. It came out in 2022, so it's only about 3 years old at this point. And I think it's only one season long. It's just a short mini anthology series. So,
Oh yeah.
But this is probably some of the best retellings of these urban legends I've ever seen, you know.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Really enjoy it. All right. And bringing up the end of the show, Brooksy, what do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, what's funny is I guess both you and I had media corner entries that had to do with some kind of folklore or folk tales. I, as of this afternoon, have fully played through South of Midnight.
Ooh,
South of
okay.
Midnight, yeah, I'm very excited about it. South of Midnight is a Game Pass Day One game for those that do have Game Pass. It is on Xbox as well as on PC and Steam as well. It is not on PlayStation, so I'm actually quite happy that I scooped up an Xbox last year. And honestly, one of the reasons why I picked up an Xbox last year was from the announcement of this alongside Expedition 33.
Yeah.
The game is created by Compulsion Games. The only other game I know of from Compulsion Games, I think, is We Happy Few. I've watched some gameplay of it, never played it myself, but I've heard really good things about it. And for those that don't know exactly what South of Midnight is, it's a gothic fantasy American Deep South based game. It focuses around a character that is named Hazel, and it immediately plunges you into a journey right after a hurricane that devastates her hometown of, I believe it's pronounced Prospero.
Mm-hmm.
Prospero.
Mm.
Um, but the whole game is really watching your house, because her house is literally on stilts on a river somewhere, and it feels very Louisiana-esque. Like it's very boggy. um and as the hurricane hits, you see her house that's on stilts on a river immediately crash into the river and float away with her mother inside of it, trying to chase after her. As you go through the very beginnings of the game, you learn a little bit about a magical lore known as being a weaver, which is someone that is a mender of broken bonds and spirits. The whole premise is really going across different encounters of mythical creatures based on Southern American legends. As she confronts each and every single one of them, is really helping kind of untangle their trauma and their past and learning about the folklore of each individual person while you're on the search of finding your mother. The game itself is very much a tried and true platformer game with a little bit of hack and slash involved. It's a very linear game where you're literally just kind of going from point A to point B, and it's very systematic in a lot of it, where you're traversing across this linear path, doing a lot of maneuvering and jumping, climbing, things of that nature, and then you'll come across like essentially what's kind of like an enemy arena. And when you enter in these enemy arenas is when you'll actually do your fighting once you've completed it, completed beating all of the enemies that are in there. You'll literally unravel essentially part of the trauma that's happening in the area because of whatever folklore creature is in that chapter. And I personally I loved it. Like it felt very much like playing a game that I personally I love platformers and I love story driven games, and it felt like playing a PS2 game but with 2025 graphics and 2025 depth of emotion and story and everything else. Um, I I've seen a lot of people complain about the gameplay itself of this game, saying that it's very repetitive and it's very much just doing the same thing over and over and over. And for me, it really, I never really experienced that myself. I think this game does a great job of helping you kind of level up your gear with some very minimalistic RPG elements of being able to collect these things called floofs, which essentially are just like kind of like off the beaten path of the linear path that you're going. You'll find these random floofs. Collect enough, you're able to upgrade your equipment that you have. And it felt like every chapter I was unlocking something new. So every time I would start doing new fight sequences, I had one new thing I would be able to add to the table, and you can. This is a game that you could go into each fighting arena. You could just button mash X the entire time, and you would be able to get through it. Um, and if you want to play that way, you're probably going to find it to be a little bit dull and repetitive. But there's enough options that it kind of felt like if you wanted to play it in more of like a Devil May Cry setting, because it does have that hack and slash feel to it, that I'm trying to make Hazel do the coolest things possible, the coolest combos, intentionally trying to get perfect dodges every single time, because you get an upgrade later on that will like essentially she like will do like a little burst of these threads around her that'll damage anyone that's near you as you're doing a perfect dodge, and I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was a lot of fun. The artwork of this game is incredible. It's a bit of like claymation and stop motion, kind of like I kind of felt like it was like a mixture of like what you would see in like James and the Giant Peach, and then combining it with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like it was like those two worlds kind of blending in with this really unique and really impressive looking stop motion aspect to the art, and it was the art style on top of that felt very reminiscent of Psychonauts to me. Like it was like
Mm.
like Psychonauts with like a little Tim Burton-y aspect to it, but it was set in the South. Like it's a very unique art approach to it that I personally resonated a lot with. I know I haven't talked a lot about on the podcast, but one of my favorite platformers of all time is Psychonauts. It's in my top three favorite games that ever came out on the PS2.
So stop motion is on by default in cutscenes, but you can
Right.
turn it off for gameplay. Are you leaving? Did you leave it on or did you turn it off?
I kept mine on because especially like as you traverse through the game, there will be moments where you'll see some of these really larger than life folklore creatures in the background, and just seeing that kind of shudder emotion on them, or when you stop the game and just kind of look around at your surroundings and you can see Hazel's arms swaying in that stop motion. It's really gorgeous to look at. I think the only setting change that I made as far as like visual is and this is not just specifically for South of Midnight thing, this is just what I do with almost every game. I traditionally turn off the blur effect whenever you're moving the camera angles.
Motion
Um,
blur. Yeah.
yeah, I always turn off motion blur. That's really the only modification that I had made to it. And I will say, like,
Yeah.
me playing through this game, like, it felt like it ran really smooth all throughout. Like, I think I only came across, like, one random little glitch, and it was from throwing something that kind of got caught in a corner, and I had to just, like,
Mm.
redo it. That was pretty much the only bug I came across. Um, but the story itself and the core story of Hazel on this journey to find her mother and to come across so many different significant folklore stories that are set in the South was really impressive. It's an incredibly emotional game. I can confidently say that there were multiple times towards the end of the game that I choked up, and once I did fully cry. It was absolutely amazing. Something I know I've seen a lot of people praise this game on, and I can fully confirm with it is the music from this game. I'm originally from Texas, and I grew up in Plano, DFW area my whole life, and I remember when I was in middle school is when Hurricane Katrina hit, and because of that, millions of people were displaced in Louisiana and moved to different parts of the country, a lot of which moved to Texas and a lot of which moved to the DFW area. And that was really when I got to learn more about more deep South culture, Louisiana culture, Louisiana music and jazz and everything else, and it itched the scratch I didn't realize that I had. And it the timing that they do for a lot of these songs, where a lot of these songs that play through, not just the background music, which is incredible itself, but when you're kind of at a more emotional or peak moment in a chapter, it'll change to like an actual song at times where it has actual vocals that correlate to what you're doing in the game, that just really add this emphasis on top of everything else. Whatever, you know, version that you listen to your video games, whether if it's just like on your TV or whatever it may be, sounds incredible. But if you have a surround sound system, or if you have a really nice headset that's got the full 360 and everything else, I highly recommend doing that. Like I had played originally through my TV.
Mm.
During the last four chapters of the game, I put on my headset because I got myself a nice headset that's got like full Bose bass and effects and everything else, and it was just like jaw dropping how incredible and deep the music sounded that correlated with the game.
You know,
Um,
to me, it looks like a PS3 era action adventure game, but I mean that in a good way. You know,
no,
I mean,
I agree.
yeah, I mean that in like it's been a while since we've had that kind of thing, really. I
Yeah.
mean, some games like Astrobot kind of scratch that itch, but not exactly the same. It's been a while since we've had like a Jack and Daxter type game. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's very
Yeah,
much what this kind of felt like to me. Is it felt
yeah,
like we were going back to a Jack and Daxter or a Sly Cooper or the
yeah,
original
yeah.
Ratchet and Clank styled games, but it was just amazing, and the amount of attention and detail that they really went into the culture, that you hear all these different accents from all these different characters, and they're all very clearly southern, but you can from somebody who spent a lot of time across the Mason-Dixie area, you can hear different tones and different dialects from different parts of the South, and you hear the differences in different characters throughout the game. And I thought that was so cool for me. For somebody that grew up in the South, like that was just such an amazing thing. And some of the jokes that they make, like, there's a giant catfish that you come across very early on in the game, and jokes like, don't leave me around here too long because somebody may fry me up and serve me with a side of grits. Like I almost peed myself laughing when I heard that, and I'm like, this is phenomenal. Like I love this. There's been a lot of context, especially this past year, over wokeness in games and DEI-ness in games, and I know this is definitely not helping those that that have a problem with wokeness or DEI in games, but to see such an incredible
Yeah, God, how dare a
representation.
game based in Southern folklore have a black protagonist?
I exactly, but like the fact
Come
that
on.
this game was so heavily deep in Black Southern culture was amazing. And I personally cannot speak on a personal level, because I am what you would call a Southern white boy. That's not to say that I exclusively hung out with Southern white boys. And to get to hear and see things that I've heard and have seen from my friends, is it was just amazing to be able to see in the game. I loved it. I really did. It was a tearjerker of an end. The progression that each character that you come across really has is amazing. There's some twists and there's some turns, and it plays beautifully. And on top of that, as much as I enjoy my incredibly lengthy RPGs, as I've eloquently said, 140 hours and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, this is not a long game. It's only, I would say it's probably about a 12 to 14 hour long playthrough. I was about 12 hours when I completed the game. And I kind of bum rushed during the last like four chapters because I wanted to be able to complete it to be able to talk about it on today's podcast. If you're a completionist that's trying to trophy hunt and all of that, I could see this probably taking about 20-ish hours. And it was a breath of fresh air. It was something that I played this, I would say probably over 3 different days. I played a few hours one day, a handful of hours second day, and then I grinded through the last bit of it today, and it felt like a
Nice.
perfect length. Felt like a perfect length for the story that they were trying to tell. This is a game that, to me, feels like it's got replayability to it. Not only because the story is incredible and I just had so much fun, but there's also customization for the type of difficulty that you want to have going into it. I think that was a really cool and unique approach that they had. That you've got your traditional 4 levels of difficulty, which is like story mode, easy mode, balanced, and then I think it was called like Weaver or something. Their challenging mode, and that's the challenging mode is what I played it on because I'm a masochist who loves From Software games. But to be able to ramp it up even further through the customized version, and you can make certain parts more or easier if you want to be able to enjoy certain aspects, and make other parts really challenging. I thought was really really cool. I loved it. This is a game I personally I know will absolutely be in my top 10. It will be in my top 5, I think, for 2025 in general.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
gonna give this, honestly, for me, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. I loved it. I thought it was incredible. I thought it was fun. I thought it was fast paced. I enjoyed the gameplay and the fighting mechanics, despite what a lot of naysayers may say online. It's how you play it that really determines how much you're going to get out of it. If you're just trying to get through the bosses to see what the next scene is, and you're just trying to mash through it, yeah, probably not going to be the most fun gameplay experience for you. But if you're someone that wants to see how many different ways you can fight these haints, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and Man, I can't, Justin. I can't wait to hear you going through this playthrough because there's a lot of things I've omitted from this review. Because I know you're just freshly getting into the game. There's one character who you come across. I want to say right before the first boss. I think it's like chapter 3. That becomes a permanent part of the story for the rest of the game that I
Okay.
adore, that I absolutely adore, and I hope that they make like either like a action figure or a plushie or something of this character because it's the coolest
Oh,
character. I
okay.
like I oh god, I love it. It's so cool. And I will say one thing that I will say I really again was just so impressed at the level of attention and detail that they took towards this game in the sense of respecting the original context and respecting the culture and everything else. It's just small little nods that I learned as a kid growing up. Like a big focal part throughout the game is something called a bottle tree. Bottle trees are literally like think of like a tree, a dead tree that doesn't have any leaves or anything on it, and at the ends of each branch, you put an empty glass bottle on it, and what it's supposed to do is to help capture evil spirits. This is
Okay.
something. This is something that I came across growing up in like middle school, high school, where there were a couple different bottle trees I had seen in neighborhoods growing up as a kid, and I remember having to ask my dad what it was because I had no earthly idea what the hell it was, and I was too afraid to ask anybody else. Um, and it was just like, oh, it has to do with like kind of like voodoo magic, but not voodoo magic, and explained it to me. He was like, and they also, he goes, if you ever see a house that has a front porch, like check out and see the color of the ceiling above them. And I was like, why? And they're like, because if they paint it like a light blue color, it's to help ward away evil spirits because they can't walk under that. And very early on in the game, when you do come across the first bottle tree in the game, a character that is living in the house right next to it says, "Yeah, go ahead and try to stand under my porch. I've got blue right here." And I'm like, "Wow!" Like they really like they've added in so many little tiny nuanced things that like it would glaze over for like the average person that doesn't live in or has lived in the South. But for me, like these are just like amazing tiny details I would have never expected them to add into this game that I really appreciate, and it made me homesick playing it. Like I know I talked about earlier how I'm going back to Texas next weekend, and if this kind of felt like a really great time for me to play South of Midnight because now I'm excited just to be in the area again.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will keep you updated on my playthrough of it. Let you know what I think as I go. Your your glowing review has me excited for what's coming, though. I keep hearing a lot of that same stuff from a lot of people. So,
Yeah, man, I'm
just
excited. I'm
just to
excited.
recap everyone. Just to recap everyone, so that was Brothers on Amazon Prime, Eli Roth's Urban Legend on Max, and the game South of Midnight available on Steam, Xbox, and Xbox Game Pass. All right. That'll be it for this episode, everybody. Thanks for those who stuck around to the end to listen to the media corner. I think this new format's going to work going forward. That way, people who just want to hear the topic can hear that, and for those of you that want to stick around after the fact can. And then we don't have to feel so self-conscious about longer episodes too, with that being an option. um, so it's a win-win for everyone involved, quite frankly. All right. So let me know your thoughts if you're watching this on YouTube in the comments down below, and smash that like button if you enjoyed it. You can also email me at podcastoversoul@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Oversoul53. Nick is on all the social media things as The Gaming Fiend 1. And Brooksy is on Instagram as Brooksy My Boy with an I at the end. Music from Epidemic Sounds, hosted on Podserve FM. Nick's fiance Sarah is our executive producer. Thank you all so much for listening, and as always, we will catch you in the next one. Good night, everybody.
Later.